welcome to Springfield Career Insights. Tonight, we confront a difficult truth. Competency alone does not guarantee elevation. In every organization, visibility, influence, and strategic communication shape opportunity as much as skill. We ask, how does one rise ethically in systems where perception often precedes performance? We are joined by His Excellency Dr. Godfrey Gandawa, President of Springfield Research University, whose leadership philosophy merges excellence with civic responsibility. President, welcome.
Thank you, Doctor. Competence is the foundation, but influence is the architecture. When professionals learn to navigate visibility without manipulation, they transform their careers into instruments of service, not survival.
Thank you, Professor. President, why is competence necessary but insufficient for elevation?
Thank you, Doctor. So competence is necessary because it establishes trust. It proves that you can deliver, but competence alone is insufficient because organizations are not meritocracies in motion, you see. They are human systems, and human systems respond to what they see, what they feel, and what they believe about you. So elevation requires three additional pillars: visibility, relational intelligence, and strategic communication. So visibility ensures your work is not buried under the noise of the institution. Relational intelligence ensures people can connect your competence to a shared mission. And strategic communication ensures your value is understood, not assumed. So when these elements align, competence becomes more than personal excellence. You see, it becomes institutional capital. That is when organizations begin to elevate you, not simply because you perform, you see, but because you matter to the system's future.
Thank you, Professor. What does visibility mean in a professional ecosystem?
Yes, so thank you, Doctor. So visibility is not vanity, you see, it is presence. So in a professional ecosystem, visibility is the quiet electricity that tells the room, I am here and my work has consequence. You see, it is not loudness. It is not self-promotion. It is the disciplined art of ensuring that your contribution does not disappear into the shadows of the institution. So visibility means allowing your competence to breathe in public spaces. So it is the courage to step into rooms where decisions are made, the wisdom to articulate your value without arrogance, and the humility to let your work speak while you stand beside it, not behind it. So in every organization, there is a marketplace of perception. Those who rise are not merely the most skilled. They are the ones who understand that impact must be seen to be believed and believed to be rewarded. So visibility in its purest form is not about being noticed. It is about being known for the right things, by the right people for the right reasons.
Thank you, Professor. How does one ethically navigate organizational politics without becoming manipulated?
So thank you, Doctor. So organizational politics is unavoidable because wherever humans gather, power organizes itself. The question is not whether politics exists, it is whether we choose to engage with integrity or with appetite. So to navigate politics ethically, one must resist the temptation to play the game with or in the shadows. So ethical navigation begins with intention. If your intention is service, not self-preservation, your actions naturally aligns with principle. So I often say, influence becomes manipulation the moment truth is sacrificed. So how does one walk this tightrope? It's by being transparent in motive. So letting people know what you stand for before they guess what you are after. By building alliances, not conspiracies. So relationships rooted in respect, not convenience. By speaking truth with grace, you are refusing to weaponize information or silence. And by advancing your value without diminishing another's dignity. So ethical politics is not the absence of strategy. It is a strategy anchored in conscience. So it is the discipline of rising without stepping on anyone's neck and the courage to win without losing yourself. So in the end, the most powerful people in any institution are not the loudest or the most connected. They are the ones whose influence is trusted because it is clear.
Thank you, Professor. Why do some highly competent people remain invisible?
So thank you, Doctor. So some highly incompetent people remain invisible not because their light is dim, but because their light is hidden behind walls they never learned to open. Competence is not, or I should say competence is a craft. Visibility is a language. And many brilliant professionals speak the first fluently, but remain silent in the second. So some disappear because they were taught that humility means shrinking. Others because they believe excellence will announce itself, and it rarely does. And some because they work in systems that reward noise over nuance, proximity over performance. But there is a deeper, more human reason, Doctor. Many competent people are busy doing the work while others are busy narrating it. So in institutions, narration often travels faster than achievement. So invisibility is not a failure of talent. It is a failure of translation. A failure to convert skill into story, contribution into presence, impact into institutional memory. So the tragedy is that invisible competence keeps organizations afloat, but visible competence often gets promoted. So, and the remedy is not to abandon humility, but to understand that humility is not silence. It is the courage to let your work be seen without apology and the wisdom to step forward without losing yourself.
Thank you, Professor. What is the difference between influence and noise?
So thank you, Doctor. So influence and noise may occupy the same space, but they do not carry the same weight. You see? So noise is activity without direction. The clatter of ambition trying to be heard before it has earned the right to speak. Noise demands attention. Influence commands it. Noise is loud. Influence is felt. Noise fills the room. Influence shapes the room. So noise is performance. Influence is presence. Noise is what people create when they fear being forgotten. Influence is what people build when they are committed to being useful. You see? So in every organization, You will hear noise long before you see influence. Noise announces itself. Influence is announced by others. And here is the simplest distinction. Noise is about self. Influence is about the system. Noise wants to be noticed. Influence wants to make things better. When professionals choose depth over drama, clarity over spectacle, and integrity over theatrics, they graduate from making noise to shaping outcomes. So that is the moment they stop echoing in the corridors and start leaving fingerprints on the institution's future.
Thank you, Professor. How does one build a reputation that speaks even when they are silent?
So thank you, Doctor. So a reputation that speaks in your silence is not built in moments of performance. It is built in the quiet, consistent rituals of who you are when no one is watching. So most people chase recognition, a few cultivate reliability. Only the wise understand that reputation is the echo of your character long after you leave the room. So how does one build such an echo is the question. First, by being predictable in principle. When people know your values before they know your opinion, they trust your voice when it is absent. Second, by honoring your word. So in every institution, there are people whose promises are currents and others whose promises are noise. You're the former. And third, by letting your work carry your signature even when your name is not attached. So excellency is a scent. People learn to recognize it. You see, they can tell, it must be Clarence who did this. Fourth, by treating people with dignity, especially when you don't need anything from them. So influence built on respect travels further than influence built on fear. And finally, by living in such a way that your integrity becomes your spokesperson. When you do this, you no longer need to announce yourself. Your reputation walks ahead of you. Your character stands beside you. And your silence becomes as authoritative as your speech.
Thank you, Professor. Why is strategic communication a leadership skill, not a performance trick?
Thank you, Doctor. So strategic communication is a leadership skill because it is not about sounding clever. It is about creating clarity where others create confusion. So performance tricks impress people for a moment. And strategic communication guides people for a lifetime. So a leader does not speak to be admired. A leader speaks to align, to steady, to illuminate the path when the institution is unsure of its footing. So strategic communication is the architecture of trust. It is the discipline of choosing words that build, not bruise. Words that mobilize, not manipulate. And words that turn scattered effort into collective momentum. So performance tricks chase applause. Strategic communication earns belief. Performance tricks are rehearsed. Strategic communication is rooted. Performance tricks fade when the spotlight moves. And strategic communication continues to lead even in the dark. So at its core, strategic communication is the leader's moral compass expressed through language. It is the ability to speak with purpose to listen with humility, and to ensure that every message carries the weight of integrity. So that is why it is not a trick. It is a responsibility. And a leader's words can steady a nation, calm a crisis, or ignite a future. And when communication becomes steward, not spectacle, leadership, Doctor, becomes inevitable.
Thank you, Professor. Let's take a break and listen to our gospel song, Crown Me with Your Glory.
The human condition. I've walked through seasons where my strength was borrowed, where my hope felt thin and my courage worn. I've carried dreams that trembled in my hands, and promises that felt too heavy to believe. I wondered if I was worthy of rising, if heaven still saw royalty in me. The turning point, but then your presence wrapped around my weakness, a radiance lifting every shadow from my name. You didn't ask me to earn the crown, you asked me to receive it. Crown me with your glory, let your light rest on the story of my life. Crown me with your glory, let your presence be the jewel that shines. Crown me with your glory until the world sees you in me. Transformation you placed on where shame once lived. You placed beauty where ashes used to be. You turned my trembling into royal confidence. You turned my wandering into destiny. Now every step feels like walking in inheritance. Every breath a reminder that I'm chosen. And now I know the sound of holy coronation. It's the whisper of your hands upon my soul. You teach my heart to stand in royalty. You teach my spirit how to reign. You crown me with your glory, let your light rest on the story of my life. Crown me with your glory, let your presence be the jewel that shines. Crown me with your glory until the world sees you in me. The prophetic moment, place it on me, Lord. Let the weight of your glory shape my calling. Place it on me, Lord. Let your radiance define my name. Place it on me until my life reflects the King I serve. Crown me with your glory, let your light rest on the story of my life. Crown me with your glory, let your presence be the jewel that shines. Crown me with your glory until the world sees you in me.
Welcome back. Let's continue with our discussion. How do networks amplify competence?
Thank you, Doctor. So networks amplify competence because excellence travels further when carried by community than when carried by the individual alone. You see? So competence is your engine. Network is your amplification system. So a network does three things that competence cannot do by itself. So first, it extends your reach. So your work may be brilliant, but its impact multiplies when people who trust you speak your name in rooms you have not yet entered. You see? And second, it accelerates your credibility. So in every organization, endorsement is a form of currency. When respected voices vouch for your competence, your value is not introduced, you see, it is confirmed. And third, it protects your trajectory. So a strong network becomes a buffer against institutional turbulence. So it ensures that your progress is not determined by the mood of the moment, but by the consistency of your relationships. But here is the deeper truth, Doctor. Networks are not ladders, you see. They are ecosystems. You do not climb them, you contribute to them. You water them with integrity, generosity, and reliability. And when you do, something remarkable happens. So your competency stops being a private asset and becomes a shared belief. People begin to carry your story, defend your work, and open doors not out of favor, but out of conviction. So that is how networks amplify competence. They turn your excellency into a collective testimony.
Thank you, Professor. How does one manage perceptions without becoming performative?
Thank you, Doctor. So managing perceptions without becoming performative is one of the highest disciplines of leadership. So it requires a kind of inner stillness, the ability to be seen without acting, and to be understood without pretending. Perception is shaped by consistency, not theatrics. So people watch what you do far longer than they listen to what you say. So the first rule is simple. Live in a way that makes performance unnecessary. When your values are stable, your decisions coherent, and your conduct predictable in principle, perception begins to take care of itself. The danger comes when people start curating an image instead of cultivating character. That is when leadership becomes theater. And to avoid that trap, let your actions be your message. When behavior aligns with belief, perception becomes truth, not illusion. Then communicate with intent, not performance. So you speak to clarity, not to impress. Then be transparent about your motives, because authenticity disarms suspicion. Then stay rooted in purpose, because purpose is the anchor that keeps you from drifting into performance. And here is the heart of it. You manage perceptions, Doctor, ethically by ensuring that what people see is simply a faithful reflection of who you are, not a costume you wear for approval. When your private integrity and your public image finally match, you stop performing. You can start leading.
Thank you, Professor. Why do organizations reward reliability more than raw talent?
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. So organizations reward reliability more than raw talent because talent dazzles, but reliability delivers. Raw talent is a spark, brilliant, unpredictable, sometimes blinding. Reliability is a flame, steady, dependable, and capable of lighting the way for others. So talent is potential. Reliability is proof. Institutions, by their nature, crave stability. They are built on routines, deadlines, expectations, and the quiet machinery of trust. So a reliable person becomes part of that machinery, and someone whose presence reduces uncertainty rather than increases it. So here is the truth many professionals learn late. Talent makes you impressive, but reliability makes you indispensable. You see? Talent can excite a room, but reliability can sustain an organization. Talent may win applause. Reliability earns access. And perhaps the deepest reason, reliability is a moral quality, Doctor. It signals discipline, respect, responsibility, the traits that make teams function and leaders emerge. So raw talent can be a gift, but reliability is a choice. And institutions always reward the choices that protect their continuity. So in the end, the people who rise are not always the most gifted, you see, but the ones who can be trusted to show up, follow through, and carry the weight without dropping it. That is why reliability becomes the quiet currents of elevation.
Thank you, Professor. How does one rise in systems that are imperfect or politically complex?
So thank you, Doctor. So rising in imperfect or politically complex systems is not an act of luck. It is an act of navigation. So every institution has its fractures, its power centers, and its unspoken rules. The wise do not deny this reality. They learn to move through it without losing themselves. The first principle is simple. Do not wait for the system to become fair before you become excellent. So excellency is your anger in turbulent environments. The second is courage. Step into complexity with clarity. When others panic, hesitate, or retreat, the person who remains steady becomes the natural point of trust. So the third is relational intelligence. So you build alliances rooted in respect, not desperation. So in complex systems, people elevate those who make the institutions easier to navigate, not harder. And finally, rise by contribution, not by combat. So in imperfect systems, those who rise sustainably are the ones, Doctor, who solve problems, not the ones who create spectacles. You do not have to be ruthless to rise. You simply have to be intentional, principled, and visible in the right ways. And when your integrity becomes your compass, even a crooked system cannot bend your trajectory.
Thank you, Professor. Let's take a break and listen to our gospel song, When Heaven Leaned Close.
The human condition, I was standing in the quiet of a breaking heart, trying to breathe through the weight of unanswered prayers. Every step felt like walking through a fading dream, and hope was a whisper I could barely hear. But something in the darkness started shifting, a softness in the air I couldn't name. It felt like the sky was bending toward me, like mercy had remembered my name. Heavenly cross, everything changed. Your presence wrapped around me like a sunrise in my chest. When heaven leaned close, the shadows lost their claim. You lifted me from silence into songs I never knew I had. When heaven leaned close, I finally breathed again. Transformation, it touched the places I had hidden from myself. You lit the corners where my fears had learned to live. And suddenly the world felt wide and possible again, because you stepped into the room where I was breaking. Oh. Now every breath feels like a promise, every heartbeat like a second chance. I know the sound of heaven drawing near now. It's the sound of love rewriting who I am. Yeah, when heaven leaned close, everything changed. Your presence wrapped around me like a sunrise in my chest. When heaven leaned close, the shadows lost their claim. You lifted me from silence into songs I never knew I had. When heaven leaned close, I finally breathe again. Lean close again, Lord. Let your glory fill the spaces where I'm still afraid. Lean close again, Lord. Let your whisper break the mountains in my way. Oh. Lean close again. Oh. Lean close again. Let heaven touch earth and me. Let heaven touch earth and me. Everything changed. Your light broke the night and called my spirit back to life. When heaven leaned close, the darkness had to fade. You lifted me from silence into songs I never knew I had. When heaven leaned close, I finally lived Sweet Charlotte grew, Lord, let me remain in you.
Welcome back. Let's continue with our discussion. What does it mean to be promotion ready beyond technical skill?
So thank you, Doctor. So to be promotion ready beyond technical skill means you have crossed the invisible threshold where competency becomes leadership. It is the moment when the organization no longer sees you as someone who does the work, but as someone who can carry the weight. You see? Technical skill answers the question, can you perform? Promotion readiness answers the deeper question, can we trust you with the future? So it means you think beyond your desk. Your decisions reflect an understanding of the whole system, not just your corner of it. You understand? You manage yourself before you manage others. So emotional discipline becomes part of your professional signature. Then you communicate with clarity and intention. So people feel steadier after speaking to you, not more confused. You solve problems without theatrics. So your performance reduces noise and increases direction. So you carry yourself with the quiet authority of someone who understands impact. Not loud, not desperate, simply grounded. You see? And above all, being promotion ready means this: your behavior already reflects the role you aspire to long before the title arrives. That is when organizations stop asking whether you deserve elevation. They start asking how long they can afford to wait.
Thank you, Professor. How does one protect their integrity while navigating power dynamics?
Thank you, Doctor. So, protecting your integrity while navigating power dynamics is the ultimate test of leadership. Power is a way of bending the unprepared. It seduces, it intimidates, it whispers shortcuts. Integrity is the discipline of refusing those whispers. So the first truth is this: power does not corrupt you, it reveals you. So you must decide long before the pressure arrives who you are and what you will not compromise. So to protect your integrity, hold your principles as non-negotiable. When values become flexible, character becomes optional. Choose transparency over convenience. So in political environments, clarity is armor. Ambiguity is where manipulation grows. You build alliances, not dependencies. When your relationships are rooted in mutual respect rather than survival, you cannot be easily coerced. Then stay grounded in purpose. Purpose is the compass that keeps you from drifting into the darker corners of power. And finally, never trade long-term honor for short-term advantage. So in every institution, people eventually remember who stood firm when it mattered. And integrity is not the absence of pressure, Doctor. It is the refusal to let pressure rewrite your identity.
Thank you, Professor. Why do some people sabotage their own competence through poor emotional behavior?
So thank you, Doctor. So some people sabotage their own competence not because they lack skill, but because they lack emotional governance. The inner discipline that allows talent to breathe without being suffocated by impulse. You see? Competence is what you can do, and emotional behavior is what people must enjoy while you do it. And often, it is the second that destroys the first. Why does this happen? Because unprocessed insecurity becomes aggression. And people who doubt themselves often overreact to protect the illusion of control. And because unmanaged ego becomes volatility. When the need to be right becomes greater than the need to be effective, competence collapses under the weight of pride. And also because emotional immaturity turns pressure into chaos. Some crumble not from lack of skill, but from lack of self-regulation. And also because brilliance without humility becomes unbearable. Talent can open doors, but temperament determines whether those doors stay open. And here is the deeper truth, Doctor. Emotional behavior is the interpreter of your competence. If the interpreter is unstable, the message becomes distorted. And in every organization, people will remember how you made them feel long before they remember what you achieved. So emotional discipline is not a soft skill. It is the guardian of your greatness.
Thank you, Professor. How does one recover from a damaged professional reputation?
Thank you, Doctor. So recovering from a damaged professional reputation is not an act of denial. It is an act of reconstruction. Reputation is fragile because it is built in the minds of others, but it is redeemable because it is rebuilt through discipline of your actions. So the first step is humility, not humiliation, humility. The courage to acknowledge what went wrong without drowning in self-blame or defending the indefensible. And the second step is consistency. People do not trust apologies, they trust patterns. You see? Show up differently, repeatedly, until the new behavior becomes louder than the old mistake. Third step is transparency. When you communicate openly, you disarm suspicion. When you hide, you confirm it. The fourth step is contribution. So reputation heals fastest when your value becomes undeniable again. Solve problems, deliver excellence. Let your work become the argument of your restoration. And finally, give people time. Reputation is not repaired by force. It is restored by evidence. A damaged reputation is not the end of a career. It is the beginning of a wiser one. Those who rise after failing carry a depth, a steadiness, and maturity that cannot be taught, but only lived.
Wow, this is amazing. Let's take a commercial break and stay tuned.
At Springfield Research University, we don't teach to pass exams, we encode futures. Grounded in Education 6.0 and powered by STEMMA, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, medicine and automation, we deliver modular, sovereign learning across undergraduate, master's and doctoral programs. Explore our prospectus, where every curriculum is designed to stematize every discipline, dignify local authorship, and credential transformative knowledge. Be stematized, be sovereign. Here, knowledge is authored, not borrowed. Curriculum is credentialed, not copied. Every graduate becomes an architect of transformation. With 2 annual intakes, March and September, the path to innovation is always open. From the logic of automation to the soul of indigenous intelligence, SRU is where tomorrow is designed. Springfield isn't just a university, it's an epicenter of epistemic dignity. Join the movement. Study where learning governs itself. Springfield Research University, the globe is here. Where are you?
Welcome back. Let's continue our discussion. What does ethical influence look like in practice?
Thank you, Doctor. So ethical influence is the art of shaping outcomes without staining your conscience. It is influence that does not hide in corridors or whisper in shadows. It stands in the light and still holds its power. In practice, ethical influences looks like this. It begins with truth. You persuade without distorting fact, without bending reality to suit your ambition. You see? It honors dignity. You move people through respect, not fear, through inspiration, not intimidation. It serves the mission, not the ego. You see? Your influence advances the institution's purpose, not your personal empire. All right? And it is consistent. Your public voice and private behavior tells the same story. People trust you because your influence is predictable in principle and it is generous. You lift others without calculating the return. So, you share knowledge, open doors, and create space for others to rise. And above all, ethical influence is influence that can survive scrutiny. If your methods were printed on the front page of a newspaper tomorrow, you would not flinch. That is the difference. Manipulation hides. Ethical influence stands tall.
Thank you, Professor. President, what final wisdom do you offer to professionals who are competent but unseen?
Thank you, Doctor. So, to every professional who is competent but unseen, hear this. Your invisibility is not a verdict. It is a season. And seasons change. The world often notices noise before it recognizes substance. But substance outlives noise every single time. Do not shrink. Do not dim. Do not apologize for the depth you carry simply because others have mastered the art of surface. Your task is not to become louder. Your task is to become unmistakable. Unmistakable in your excellence. Unmistakable in your integrity. Unmistakable in the quiet authority of someone who knows their value, even when the room has not yet learned it. Visibility is not granted, it is grown. It grows from the courage to step forward, the discipline to remain consistent, and the wisdom to let your work speak in a language that cannot be ignored. You are not waiting for recognition, you are preparing for it. And when the moment arrives, as it always does for those who persist with honor, you will not rise as a surprise. You will rise as the inevitable. The inevitable. Thank you, Doctor, for having me.
Thank you, President, for reframing competence as the foundation and influence as the architecture of professional elevation. Your clarity reminds us that careers rise not only on skill, but on visibility, integrity, and the courage to navigate systems with honor. To our audience, if you are ready to transform your competence into influence and lead with ethical authority, Springfield Research University welcomes you. Visit www.springfieldresearchuniversity.net and join a community where excellence becomes civic responsibility. This brings us to the end of this strategic edition of Springfield Career Insights. May your competence be visible, your influence be principled, and your leadership be sovereign. I am Clarence, your host. Good night. Hey, hey, siyakupuga tikitile futsanza lunga kiwa hey 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 siyakupuga sonke siyavumelana ngemjulu lomuhle sonke similela. I've been carrying the pieces of who I used to be,
trying to fit them into shapes that no longer felt like home. I walked with questions stitched into my spirit, wondering if brokenness disqualified me from becoming whole. But then your mercy called me closer than my shame. Your kindness built a place for me to lay it all down. You didn't ask for perfection, you asked for surrender. And in that moment I felt transformation begin. The divine encounter at the altar of my becoming. You take the fragments and make them shine. At the altar of my becoming, you turn my weakness into a holy kind of fire. At the altar of my becoming, I am remade by the hands that form the stars. You touch the wounds I hid beneath my confidence. You breathe on dreams I thought were long expired. Now every step feels like a resurrection. Every breath a quiet echo of your grace at work in me. Now I know the sound of holy rebuilding. It's the gentle rhythm of your love restoring me. You teach my soul to rise again. You teach my heart to trust the process of becoming. In full declaration at the altar of my becoming. You take the fragments and make them shine. At the altar of my becoming, you turn my weakness into a holy kind of fire. At the altar of my becoming, I am remade by the hands that form the stars. The prophetic moment, shape me, Lord. Let your glory be the blueprint of my life. Shape me, Lord. Let every broken place become a testimony. Shape me until I look like the love that saved me. At the altar of my becoming, you take the fragments and make them shine. At the altar of my becoming, you turn my weakness into a holy kind of fire. At the altar of my becoming, I am remade by the hands that form the stars. I am becoming who you always saw, who you always saw, who you always saw. Ungiphathe ngomusa wakho. In the heart of Springfield, a new dawn breaks. With Channel Yamaswati, our future takes shape. Career insights, knowledge shared so bright. Together we rise, reaching new heights.